Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Siki Media Productions, bringing you an anime review.
So, we've been thinking about this particular review for quite some time, and it's about time we finally, circled around to it. And we're going to be trying to do a review for one of our favorite anime series, Yu Yu Hakusho.
And this show, even though this is back in the 90s, it's in the basically what people would consider the heyday of anime in some generation.
Boy, was that a day.
No matter what era that you'll be watching it ever since its release, this series is such a timeless show that it get better every time you watch it.
And let me tell you, there are very few shows and series, especially when it comes to anime, that I'm willing to binge watch or read or watch constantly, and Yu Yu Hakusho just does it for me.
So, what is Yu Yu Hakusho? Well, it is essentially a very a shonen series.
Mm-hmm.
One of the earlier depictions of such, but it's about a young delinquent student by the name of Yusuke Urameshi.
Yusuke has to be hands down one of my favorite all times shonen anime characters. Let's just put it this way. A lot of the characters and storylines and dialogue, especially when it was translated for English audiences, what they did with the show was just spectacular and it cut above the rest. Well beyond its time, in my opinion. And I feel as though there are quite a few animes to date that are still riding the coattails, if not can learn something from what the dialogue and character design and character development that Yu Yu Hakusho has brought to the table, especially with somebody as close to my heart as Yusuke Urameshi.
Well, and Urameshi, we basically follow the story from his, mainly from his perspective, in which one day where even though that he essentially growing up, he had a very rough lifestyle.
Yeah, no dad, no dad in the household. Mom's a drunk.
It's rough, and him being a delinquent just doesn't help either. But just one fateful day where he just decides to do the right thing for once.
It bites him right in the butt because guess what? He ends up dead.
No spoilers here. That's all in the pilot episode. But from there, because that one act of kindness,
which
it's weird.
It's a weird circumstance. He doesn't just have to stay dead. In fact, he gets a one-up in life.
Basically, a second chance, and from the guise of, let's say, I can't say the heaven, but it is from the higher ups in so-called spirit world in this mythology, with him taking on the task of a spirit detective.
Ooh, now, this is not like your run-of-the-mill Sherlock Holmes or, let's say, I guess, any, 50s style, flapper style, just detective shows. No. What Yusuke's responsibility is as a spirit detective is basically him taking on cases in the human world that revolves ghosts and demons that necessarily might come around and start some trouble, and he's the one that's either got to take them down or to deport their butts right back to where they're supposed to be.
Yes, as the so-called demon world. Really take on a perspective of the afterlife, or the many different realms of existence. But from here, the show at least starts off from a case-by-case demon or ghost basis. But it eventually evolves into what we will commonly known as a battle shonen.
Yeah, from his humble beginnings as a young delinquent to this world-saving spirit detective, he goes off on multiple adventures, and eventually along his way comes across multiple other characters that will influence his life and him, and vice versa. And of course, one of the highlights of the series actually ends up being the character development that comes from these incredible adventures that he goes on with these cast and crew.
Yeah, so much of what makes Yu Yu Hakusho, it does have to go up to the actual author himself, which is Yoshihiro Togashi, who is also known for another still long-running manga as of this video, Hunter x Hunter.
Look, I love the guy for his work, and I'm such a huge fan of Hunter x Hunter. But my God, it is no wonder why that series has been affectionately nicknamed in the community as Hiatus. Because guess what? it's still on hiatus. We have not received any new data from that whatsoever.
At least, the manga's still going on, but the thing is, the series as of right now has 2 different types of anime series. But we'll just say that if you decide to watch Yu Yu Hakusho, lucky enough, that series is over with. It's also because it's like, even though most people will know the shonen mangas are usually like highly long running shows.
Exactly.
Lucky enough, and this show does not have any filler once you start watching.
No, it's straightforward. You run his storylines from start to finish. There are no speed bumps here or there at all. This everything you're going to watch from the start to finish. From the episodes are important episodes that showcase his growth and that of his friends.
Yes. And from this 112 episode count is basically broken into 4 major story arcs. From the spirit detective arc, which is usually the case by case basis, but eventually the second off is essentially the most known story arc that the series is known for.
And the most influential in most animes in general.
Is the Dark Tournament Saga, which is the longest story arc in the show.
To date, still is no anime yet to have dethroned Yu Yu Hakusho when it comes to this particular arc. Why? Because what they do in the Dark Tournament arc is so special and so unique that it just blows you right out of the water.
Like, it's a story that does open the world of the series, but also it starts to give you hints of the revelations of a lot of the characters.
Exactly.
And going from there is the Chapter Black storyline, which it gets real.
Yeah, it got real. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yu Yu Hakusho from the beginning was a dark kind of touch anime, but it gets even deeper and darker when you get to that Chapter Black arc, which ironically enough revolves a little bit more around the 3 central characters that goes along with them. We're not just following Yusuke Urameshi, we're also following his friends Kurama and Hiei and Kuribara. That's your that whole group. Wow, it's like
like what Togashi from Yu Yu Hakusho, and also Hunter x Hunter, if we ever decide to do a review on that. From what the similarities that you can instantly spot from his at least 4 main core group is that he doesn't have good handling on this brotherly bond between them. And these characters are from different walks of life, but they're still cut from the same cloth as far as some forms of similarities for where they came from.
And I guess that cloth, cut of cloth really revolves around this sense of loyalty and honor.
And so much has to be done with the characterization. Like Yu Yu Hakusho till this day, it has a lot to be done with how they are able to show the empathy for these characters, especially from certain people who wind up starring off on the show
as a bad guy or antagonist, but then you peel back the layers as you continue on the story with them and see that it's not really necessary about them being a bad guy. It's just life had thrown them a few lemons and they decided to make the lemonade, a bloody lemonade at that, with them. And I mean, you kind of get where they're coming from, especially with a character who was probably one of the darker sides of the story, being Hiei, who, wow, I mean, at first he was like the kind of guy you just hate. But at the same time, he's just that cool dude that has got his own mysterious side. And he's like, you know what? I could run with Hiei. He's cool. And
you got Hiei, which if you have Hiei, he has his own right hand man, which is Kurama.
Oh my God, Kurama is so cool. He's probably one of my favorite characters.
Kurama is whether you whether you want to see it or not, he is a boy toy. But yet he also has a very sinister dark side to him as well. But he is essentially the part of the group that settles everyone's down. Kuribara
is the heart of the fun of the game.
Literally the heart of the whole show. The whole show, especially to Urameshi for him being his best friend and all.
And rival in some sense.
Rival.
There's no real rivalry in that sense. Yusuke's just that he's that guy.
But this sense of character, this deep characterization also falls into a lot of the antagonists as well. Now, mind you, that in the beginning of the series, a lot of the case-by-case basis never really fleshed out a lot of their basically more villainous characters.
But that all changes when you hit towards the Dark Tournament arc, where
Yes.
you get to be introduced to one of the baddest anime antagonists, Toguro.
Yeah, the Toguro brothers.
Yeah, you're right.
And from there, you get from the Chapter Black series, Chapter Black Saga, you have the infamous Sensui,
Oof.
which is like from Toguro and Sensui, they do have some form of connection. At least what from Yusuke's own occupation as a spirit detective.
Yeah, that was really deep.
Yes, and then you got the Three Kings arc, which is the last story arc.
Which is something like, in some senses, I probably would say is the weakest area of the Yu Yu Hakusho series, considering that it's unfortunately wrapped up a little bit way too quickly, that you don't get enough sense of the other characters that were introduced in that series well enough that you did with the previous characters. But at the same time, it's still a fun and enjoyable aspect that I still can find enjoyment going through it and watching it.
This was done by Studio Period, which you'll know as some other what they have done for basically Naruto and Bleach and some other known animes from that time. But lucky enough, they apparently, like Hunter x Hunter, if you are handling a Togashi production, then you're gonna be your series is gonna be well animated no matter what.
That is so true.
It's like there's a clause in the fact.
It has to be done. You are not going to throw trash on my name by misrepresenting this anime.
Yes,
it's just not going to happen.
The art style is very reminiscent. It's very like it's ironically enough, despite it being like in the '90s, which is at the time was something modern. It still had a very classic anime aesthetic,
but with a little touch of grittiness to it too.
Yes.
And you know what? Can we talk
crisp
about that soundtrack, the score of this series? My God, I loved it.
Now, let's mind you, the score is what really it could throw you off because it is the most dated aspect of the series.
It is. I'm not gonna lie.
But it does give off still a charm to it. We're talking with something that it's very influential to probably like Thriller. From Michael Jackson's album, where it's this synthesized score with a very haunting atmosphere to it.
Ooh.
But so it's good vibe with the whole tone of the series.
Yeah, you can feel the adventure in every note, but at the same time, when the show needs to go into the darker, more serious tones, you definitely feel it, and that music just helps you carry you right through it.
Especially when it comes to the show's battle scenes.
Exactly.
Which. And like from the series, it gets better and better. A lot of times it's like one note fights from the beginning there, but it's like when we say the Dark Tournament is very influential, that's where it starts hitting it hard. The animation becomes a lot more a lot more better. The choreography, which how they're able to handle such these intense fights. Where mind you, the Yu Yu Hakusho, despite it being coming late, like anime's always been in existence, like from the very beginning of animation. It's still such a pioneer in his right.
And I guess from all that, it's only fair that we can necessarily offer up that Yu Yu Hakusho has to be an amazing series in our opinion.
Now we said it could have easily been an epic, but
Lord knows that's the truth.
But we do have to acknowledge that the ending of the series, at least the ending, the final arc,
it's the only thing that really pushed it. Didn't help it push it over the edge. I mean,
quick note: if you are going to watch it, no matter what, the dub is better.
Yeah,
it's
one of those animes. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's like one of those animes you need to watch the dub. The English variation is the best variation you're going to get.
Funimation, this was one of Funimation's earlier works as a distributor and dub a manufacturer, and they do a good job. Justin Cook.
It's not just a good. That's kind of like lowers down with the brilliance of what they did there.
It's like,
oh my God.
You do not have to worry about an abridged version of this. See, that's how good the dub is. But yeah, that was it.
That's our review. You please watch that series. We need more people talking about it. It's that great. But if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that little bell down there at the bottom for notifications so we can get you more content. Please comment below. Let us know. Did you watch Yu Yu Hakusho? What were your feelings about it? What did you think about that tournament arc?
See it?
When did you watch it? I mean, let us know.
There you go. Adam.
And I'm here.
Seeking Media Productions.
This is Seeking Media Productions, guys.
It's a good series.
Yeah, it's just that great. See you later.